welcome back to another video. Today we're going to go over the top 5 easiest flip tricks to do on a skateboard. This is all kind of personal preference. What you find easier may be different than someone else's easier tricks, but this is my top 5 list of the tricks that I find the easiest. The cool thing about most flip tricks is you can kind of choose which way you want to do them. For instance, the kickflip, the board goes like this, but then a heel flip, the board goes the other way. You can do a varial kickflip this way, or you can do a varial heel flip that way. Inward heel flip and then hard flips, backside flips and frontside flips. You can kind of choose which one you want to learn first and which one's going to be easier to learn. I want to have a quick warm up around the park and just do a couple of tricks to warm up before we get into this trick list. Oh, that one's kind of weird because you got the bow right there, so when you do the pivot you sometimes like go towards the bow instead of just rolling along this bit. One time in the middle of the winter when the park was all icy, there was a big patch of ice here and I was learning the back 180 up the Euro. Kind of messed up a little bit here and then kicked my board out, started running backwards, and then somehow both my shoes came off, kicked them away, and then I did like a backflip down to the bottom of the bow. Somehow kind of landed into the ramp really smoothly and didn't get hurt. The second I popped for it, I knew I was going to clip my wheels. Alright, try to. It was sketchy, but I'm taking it. Socks always fall down and it's like my biggest annoying thing in the whole world. Before we start on this list, you want to make sure you can ride on your board comfortably without falling off. You guys also want to make sure that you have a pretty good ollie and you can do that comfortably without feeling all sketchy. And don't worry if you can't, I have a good tutorial on it and it's going to be linked in the description, so you can go check that out if you guys still kind of struggle with your ollies. It's also going to be beneficial the more comfortable you are at riding about on stuff at the skate park, like dropping in on quarters and riding about on banks and riding over stuff. The more comfortable you are on your board, the easier all these tricks are going to be. Fly, go web go. Alright guys, so starting off with everyone's favorite flip trick, everyone's favorite skate trick, and probably the most known name in all skateboarding besides Tony Hawk. The kickflip is my favorite trick to do and I do it on every single thing, probably like 100 times a day at least. It took me around 2 months to learn, so if you guys don't get this one straight away, it's a hard trick and some people take years to get it. Now I already have at least like 2 tutorials on this trick, maybe even 3. Honestly, maybe even 4, because this is like a sought after trick that a lot of people want to learn. So I'm not going to go over it into too much detail, but I'm going to tell you guys the basics on how to get it down on your first one. With the ollie, you kind of slide your front foot up on the side of your shoe like this and then level the board out. But for a kickflip, I do it more on like the toe of my shoe. You can see where it's starting to wear off here on the very front of the shoe. That's where I do all my kickflips. Some people like to do it on more of the side of the shoe on like the ollie patch, but I do it more off of my toe. And it's going to go this way, so you're going to slide it up the board and then give it a little kick. Kind of like that. The main issue that I see from people when they DM me when they're trying to learn a kickflip, they'll send me a video. They'll always be doing it with their shoulders turned like this and kind of kicking the board like that all the way out to the side. You don't want to do that. You want to keep your shoulders in line with your board like this. When you do this, it makes sure that the board stays underneath you, so even if you don't flip it that well, you might still land on it by accident. One of the things I say is helpful for anyone to learn a kickflip is try land on top of it no matter what. Even if you fall really bad and you land on your trucks, I would say that's still better because you're committing to it and you're not going to get used to just not committing to tricks properly. So once you've kind of mastered that flick out and you can flip the board around, you want to hang your back foot kind of around here and then catch it when it does that first flip, or when it does that double flip. Whenever you want to catch it and stop the flip, that's when you put your back foot on your tail. Well, not the tail, but kind of like the boats here. Put your front foot back on and then land the trick. Let me know how you guys get on with the kickflip, and if you've got it down, try it fakey if you can't already do that. Little tip for it, if you guys struggle with it, have your weight more leaning forward. Don't lean back or you're probably going to stomp it and then kick it out. If you guys haven't tried that, try it out and let me know down in the comments if it works out and if it makes them any better. So trick number 2 is a heel flip, and it's kind of like the opposite way to do a kick flip. The board flips the other way, and instead of flipping it with your toe, you're going to kind of flip it with your heel. Well, that's what the trick is called, but I don't usually flick it that much with my heel. I usually flick it more with like this part in the middle of my foot. And if you guys are familiar with this channel, then you know that my heel flips suck and I never do them and I hate them and I don't even like talking about it. You kind of do the same thing you do in a kickflip, but you mirror it on the opposite side of your board. And instead of flicking the kickflip out like that, you gotta slide your foot up and then kind of hit this part with your heel or like the middle part of your foot. And one of the other things that I find helpful to do, instead of popping your foot in the middle of the board here, you want to pop it kind of on the side here. And that's just going to pressure the board a little bit to flip a little bit easier, and you don't need to kick it that hard with your heel. It will kind of flip on its own. Hey! So instead of popping like this for a kickflip, you want to pop kind of like this for a heel flip. This is the way I do a heel flip. It does look kind of weird though. So trick number 3 is a varial kickflip or a varial heel flip, whichever one you find easier. If you're a heel flip guy, go for that. If you're a kickflip guy like me, go for that. I've been skating for around 5 years and I still can't really varial heel flip. We're just going to focus on the varial kickflip. And then you guys can kind of use the same thing to learn a varial heel flip. If you find heel flips easier, you'll probably get it because it's an easy trick, just not for me. The difference between a varial kickflip and a normal one is it also does the pop shove it in the middle of it. There's a dog coming over who jumped on me earlier. Hello. Earlier when I first got here, I skated past him and then he ran at me and like sneezed on my hoodie. I love that dog. If any of you guys have got a dog, can you just like give it to me and send it to me? But I would also say you don't need to be too comfortable doing pop shove it, because I don't really do like a proper pop shove it when I do a varial flip. I usually shove the board kind of when I flick it. And by that I mean when I pop it for the varial flip, I kind of pop it at an angle here and then I kick the board a bit harder on here. For my feet position, I usually start off the same way that I would with a kick flip, but maybe with my front foot like a little bit further down the board. So when I do the flip, I kick it kind of hard and then the board kind of comes around like that. I'll be honest, my varial flips do kind of suck because I do tray flip way more, and mine are also kind of like a weird dolphin flip, forward flip kind of thing because of the way that I like to do the shove with the flick. It makes it kind of like a mix between the two tricks. But if you don't kick it forward too much, it does do a good varial flip without doing the dolphin flip. For all you guys who struggle with doing varial flips, let me know if that piece of advice was useful and if you guys managed to get it. And then once I get the varial flip, I try catch it the same way I do with a kick flip with the back foot, but I feel like most of the time I usually just stomp it down with 2 feet. But sometimes I am able to get a good one, so I'll try to do a couple good ones around the park. Alright guys, so trick number 4 is a halfcab flip on the flat ground, which is kind of like doing a fakie kick flip and also a fakie 180 at the same time. So if you guys were able to do the fakie kick flip and also the varial flip, this trick should be very easy for you guys. To start off, a halfcab is kind of like just doing a pivot like this, but you pop your board, do a little ollie at the same time. It's really not too hard at all if you guys have never tried it. To do it, you just do a fakie ollie, but then you turn your shoulders at the same time and then guide the board around with your feet. And then once you guys have got the half cab down, you just want to add a little flip to it, flick your board out and do a kick flip at the same time. I feel like I do the same thing I do with the varial flip, and I try to do the 180 with the flip. So I pop the board like this, kind of at an angle, and then I finish off the 180 with the kick flip. I flick it straight down instead of like out. But I try pop it extra hard when I do a half cab flip because that really sends the back of the board up into the air. This trick is a little bit hard to figure out at first, but if you guys keep at it and keep trying it, I guarantee you should get it pretty easy. And then once you guys do get it, it's one of the nicest feeling tricks to do on the flat. Trick number 5 is a backside flip on the flat bank. I'm making this trick number 5 because I think it's the easiest way to do a 180 on your skateboard and also a kickflip at the same time. And one of the cool things about this trick is you never need to ride fakie or land fakie or roll away fakie. I said fakie 3 times there. You can ride up it regular, do the trick, and then roll away regular. Also, if you guys can't do a backside 180 or a frontside 180, don't worry because I don't think it's too necessary. When you do it on a flat bank, you never do like a full 180. With this trick, you can build it up by riding at the bank at an angle, doing a kickflip and doing like a small turn with your body, and then make that turn more and then more until you're doing like a good backside flip. I'll show you guys what I mean. So the trick, when it's done right, looks like this. But to start off, you can do way less of a 180, more like this. And you can also build this trick up by what you choose to do it on. Like you can do it on a really small bank or a really small quarter. You find something like this that's really mellow at the bottom, it's going to be less scary to try it on than like a really steep flat bank. I feel like this is one of the best flip tricks to learn after you learn how to do a kickflip, because it's a cool trick to do around the park and cruise around and turn around on banks without needing to roll away fakie if you do any tricks. It's one of my favorite tricks to do, and you can also learn a bunch of other tricks from it, like you can learn frontside flips or big flips. I really hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, hit the like button, leave a comment down below, let me know of some other tricks that you guys would add to this list. If you're a beginner skateboarder and you're new to the channel, then subscribe, because I'm making tutorials all the time along with a bunch of other skate videos. I want to end off the video with a quick trick up the Euro.